I'm so happy to be able to introduce my friend, Fred Felleman. He is here to kind of give an opening remarks about the center. Fred has spent the past 30 years working for conservation in the Pacific Northwest marine environments through his research, his own research, advocacy, and photography. He completed his Master's of Science graduate research at the University of Washington on the feeding ecology of Northwest population of resident killer whales in 1986. Since 1988, Fred has served as an environmental consultant to local and national marine conservation organizations, as well as to local and tribal governments. In that capacity, Fred played leadership roles in the establishment of the Olympic Coast National Marine Sanctuary, the Nia Bay Emergency Response Tugboat, the Cherry Point Aquatic Reserve, and the, gosh, I can't even read my own writing, listing of the southern resident killer whales under the Endangered Species Act. So thank you. Fred's like, shut up, John. Please help me welcome Fred.
Yeah, oh yeah, I write that too. I'll give you that. So, thank you very much, and I think it's interesting. I get to sort of give you a little bit of the retrospect of being one of maybe the dozen folks here with gray hair. So, I think that's only appropriate. So, while Ken has been a tremendous source of inspiration for my research career.
That's right, hold it close.
All right, while Ken has been a great inspiration to my research career, one of my great inspirations in my conservation work is the one maybe a lot of you know is Martha Kongsgaard. And Martha is this phenomenal speaker, and these speakers don't like me. Well, as I'm also elected as the Seattle Port Commissioner, which is another story I'll get to. But so she gives these great speeches, but she reads them. And I thought it was always, bad when you're trying to be a candidate or talk, off the cuff. But she pulls it off so well. I'm going to try to do it as well, given the fact that it was also 5:30 in the morning trying to finish this. So that's my excuse. And but I really thought about these words, so I wanted to get them right. So so I really want to thank Giles for this lovely introduction, a little too long, but also for all of her work that she's done to keep the center going and being a great source of energy to this area. So my name is Fred Felleman. I'm a recovering killer whale biologist and an environmental consultant. I was elected to the Seattle Port Commission in 2015. It's really an honor to say a few words here for Ken and the center as a way to begin the following this gathering of like-minded folks. By the way, how many Brits are in the room? All right, so I'm sort of trying to talk to you a little bit, but I didn't know how many of them there were, so in fact, it's only appropriate that I kind of kick off this event that includes with raising the glass. I really hope this doesn't do it the whole time. Given how many glasses I've raised with Ken over the years, which began in 1980. Rather than read his bio or download his website for you, I'm going to share a few personal, somewhat controversial insights with you about the evolution of the center and its illustrious leader. Before delving in, I need to say one thing that I'm sure is going to make him and me uncomfortable, perhaps both the rest of you as well. It's a sentiment that I think we all share. We love you, Ken. Now, the reason I can say this, other than his magnetic personality and rugged good looks, is that because of Ken, his persistence to start and keep the Orca Survey going, despite wide fluctuations in funding, that all of us have had the privilege to experience these magnificent creatures in the wild with the level of insight one would expect was only possible from a captive study. There was also our deeply held regard for Bob Dylan. Okay, now that I've gotten this off my chest, you have a context in which to hear the rest of what I'm about to say. Speaking of love, One of the many benefits of having been tangentially associated with the center since 1980 is the beautiful and intelligent people that were and continue to be drawn here. I'll get back to that point in a moment. It is remarkable that for an ex-Navy flyer who started the survey with NOAA funding to verify the findings of a Canadian government scientist, appropriately named Big for someone who studied whales, how much he came to hate bureaucracy. I think it was karma that he twice busted the Navy for using sonar in the presence of the whales, just to get even. I first met Ken during the summer of my junior year at the UW, University of Michigan. My undergraduate advisor, Warren Holmes, gave me some independent study credits. This is for you guys back there. To determine if the whales were suitable for study, to ask sociobiological questions. And in fact, I'm quite amazed at the nature of the talks and kind of subject matter that normally is not spoken about the whales. And I'm anxious to hear. Given that there weren't many people studying whales in the Midwest at the time, I had my own key to the special collections at the zoology section of the library. It was a spectacular time to be at the University of Michigan for studying animal behavior. In addition to faculty like Dick Alexander and Bobby Lowe, I was able to attend graduate seminars that co-taught like visiting faculty with George C. Williams and W.B. Hamilton. Some of you guys might know who that is. After seeing how all these faculty had their own study subjects of choice, being a Pisces, I set out to find a suitable citation to study. While it didn't take me long to realize the significant sexual dimorphism of orchids immediately set them apart, and there was this study, photo ID study I heard about on this oddly named island, given its temperate location. Long story short, after calling the labs, being directed to the museum, and finally finding Ken, I called him to say I needed to see the whales in the wild. He replied telling me I could hang out for a bit after I first attended whale school. $500 a month later, I was hooked for life. Now I gotta stop trembling. Leading up to my orca addiction was the multi-day intoxicated bus ride from Michigan to Seattle that was punctuated by what seemed to be a late snow, but turned out to be Mount St. Helens ash, and a 2-day bike ride to the center, where I rolled into a major salmon barbecue to kick off the season when fishermen used to throw canned free fish from their abundant catches. Within an hour of arrival, the whales appeared near shore from the center, and before I knew it, I was in a kayak for the first time, being blown away by the way the whale's blows resonated through my chest. There was no going back. I'm sure this was the type of an experience that has brought many of you here today. Similarly, many of you have been more likely recruited into more menial tasks. Knowing my willingness to do just about anything to hang with the whales, he had me rolling boulders to build the barbecue you see there now, and gave me the affectionate name Flintstone. Now getting back to the beautiful people, there were certain whale school classes of particular inspiration to an aspiring orca researcher. A particularly memorable one involved a reenactment of the whales when the whales first used to show up en masse in the beginning of the season. These gatherings, which included much socialization, now referred to as intermingling, was honestly called group growth at the time. What better place for such a study than in the hot tubs of the hostel that used to be in town? Now, despite being fully aware of the evolutionary challenges posed by concealed ovulation in a species with long gestation, hats on the confidence of paternity, and thus male parental care, I continue to think of myself as being among Ken's first kids. While he did not exactly nurture us, we tried to emulate his photographic skills, techniques, in hopes to be able to take similarly remarkable ID photos. I'm almost done. After completing my BS in psychology, full BS, I returned to the center to conduct some retrospective analysis of the whale's movements relative to tidal currents. I summarized hundreds of hours of his observations that I presented as a poster at the 4th Biennial Conference of Marine Mammalogy in San Francisco. Besides being my first conference, what made it particularly memorable was the movies played at night of some early marine mammal or imagery. It was like 1985 or something. When it was Ken's turn, he demonstrated his independent attitude and love of Dylan at the same time. He used the soundtrack of Dylan's Visions of Johanna as background to close-up imagery of walruses on Walrus Island of Alaska. I didn't understand the connection between the music and the walruses until one of them rolled over sporting an erection. He put his slipper over his eyes and began to masturbate, just as Dylan sang, "The ghost of electricity howled like the bones in his face." I knew that he was not your traditional field biologist, but his rogue nature has served as an ongoing source of inspiration for me. To close on a more serious note, based on Ken's and his minions' work, when the center started on the heels of the capture operation in 1976, there were 68 whales. When I showed up in 1980, there were 80. They reached a high of 98 and 1995. The population then plummeted back to 81 in 2001. I may be off by 1 or 2 here, I'm sorry. When they were listed under the ESA, my professional path went from being a budding behavioral scientist to an advocate for the whale's existence. But it was always the center's science that enabled the likes of me and others to petition the government to do more than document their decline. This is the last page. Unfortunately, despite our efforts, best efforts, other than the repatriation of Springer, A73, or natal pod in BC, who just had a second cow, the population has not only declined to 78 whales, but their residency appears to have been bequeathed to the transients, whose selective advantage of targeting abundant harbor seals have served them far better than the residents' propensity for prey that they themselves are endangered. Knowing what we know, everyone in this room has an obligation to do their part, not just to see the whales, but to help assure there are whales to see. You don't need, I'm sorry. Ken knows you make me cry. You don't need to see, you don't need to tie yourself to a tanker, but we all need to be factivists of our own right. Emblazoned on the totem poles we know, these whales have been here for as long as humanity. More likely ever since the glaciers receded and salmon populated the rivers, given their 30 million year evolutionary history. Not only do we have to be stewards of the whales, but of the center itself, whose own legacy needs to be assured with your support and Ken's need to create a successional strategy. Thank you for Giles and the others that have done this part and your continued efforts. Thank you.